I will start my speech in three, two, one. So the developing countries like Indonesia or India has so many resources, and yet we don't have the manufacturers or we don't have the company to produce the natural resources itself. We also don't have the economic stability because we are still a young countries. We are before that we are under the colonization of the Netherlands of or the Japanese. Also, we have debt to the other countries because we want to the independence of our own countries. Also, the developing countries usually consist of middle to lower cost people, which government has to cover of the financial mostly. Also, about these resources, why we are still developing country, because we still have the we still need the investment, and we still have the inventors from the other countries or the in form of the foreign companies. And usually the foreign companies is usually the foreign companies will be built or will stand their own companies in the remote areas, which remote area consists of so many uneducated people. We still have so many people that has no experience in working with the foreign companies that usually uses international language or its parent language in communicating in their daily life. The foreign companies also have so many regulations, and the job standard is so high that the local people cannot even fulfill them. Why the locals is usually cannot working with them? Because first they are educated, and also they have no experience in working for the local for the foreign companies itself. Although they know their land, they cannot fulfill the regulations or the job standards itself from the foreign companies. Also, this is why this house believes that developing countries should require foreign companies operating in its territory to have minimum quota of hiring local workers. Motion arises people. And the premises that our side of the house believe is why and how we should support at least a minimum quota of locals to profit both the nation and the companies itself. And second, what are the outcomes for the local itself? The first reason of the first premise that we omit is because the poverty of the local people usually in the remote areas is so high, and we cannot usually the government cannot cover them financially. So to rise them from the poverty, it is the government and the companies should educate them and send them to training, send them to the workshop to educate them how to work and how to fulfill the job standard even as the laborers. The second is the local welfare. It is also almost the same as the poverty because they have to help the situation in the remote areas, because the foreign companies usually stand in the remote areas they don't, which where the local people usually live. The third is their rights, because the nation and the business or the company itself has to support the rights of the local people. If they support the rights, the nation will be benefit about in form of the money circulation. The value of money will circulate, and it will increase the economics of its own nations. And also for the companies, why it to support the rights, it so by supporting the rise of the local people, they will have more incomes, because by working with the local people, they will have so many productions because they know their own land and how to produce the resources itself naturally. The fourth is the reputations. The reputations of the government or the nations will increase because the citizens will view them as taking care of its citizens, because in the democracy they will work as from, by, and to the people or the citizen itself. And also for the businesses, the reputations will grow because the people will see them as they are following the rules of, they are following the regulations of the nations where they are invested their own companies. And fifth is it will be easier for them to manage the workers of themselves, because by hiring the local peoples, they don't need the long leave, they don't need cuti in Indonesia, for example. They don't need to across the sea, they don't need across the other islands, like in Indonesia, for example, because we have five big islands and also the little islands where people usually or the workers usually live. They don't have to pulang kampung, they don't have to take the long leave, because the local workers is the people that live nearby the companies itself. The companies and the workers will be in one place, and they don't need to take the long leave if they are have the holidays, for example. Why also it is because in the status quo, the ones that usually working for the foreign company is the uni graduate, which consists only of 3%. Also, the uni graduate that working for the foreign company usually don't work in the field. They are working in the office. They work in the building. They don't really know how to produce it to produce the resources itself. They don't know how to handle the resources in the field. But the government should cover all people in the nations. Like I said, the vulnerable people are the middle to lower classes, because the government, as the democracy, like in Indonesia, for example, is has the principle of the benefit is from people, by people, and to people, so it will cover all the nations. The comparison, Oppo might think that rather than sending them to sending the locals, that just send the uni graduates that will work, and it will be easier. They won't be uh, there will be no obstacles in while working with the foreign companies. So also in the status quo, we are still in the post-COVID, we are still in endemic, we are living together with the COVID itself. Why it is? Because by hiring local people, it will be easier, because they'll live in the area. They don't need to uh, across. They don't need the permissions to go to the other island to work. Okay. Also, for the second premise, is what are the outcomes for the local itself? It is the number one. The reason is because it will be they can raise their area on the environment. They can support them from the poverty of the area. They will so they will know, they can follow the current situations in the modern world. Also, second, they will educate themselves. And the third is to encourage others to be confident to work. Why encouragement is? It is because even though they are working at the library itself, they can give the examples to the other people or the other locals to work. They have the chances to work, that they can work even though they are not highly educated, and they can support their family and the community in the local area, because they can even if they because if they cannot give the examples to our people, they will still in that mindset of they cannot work, or they cannot support their community, they cannot support their areas, their environment, and they still in that kind of situation or the remote area. It is because this is why our side of the house believes it is really important to support the minimum quota of local workers, in terms of for the nation itself, for the community, or for the business, because by supporting, we can decrease the poverty, we can support the local welfare, support the rights, and it will increase the reputations, and it will be easier to manage. That's why our side of the house proud to propose these motions.